After marriage, my father-in-law got paralysis disease, so my mother-in-law put me in charge of taking care of my father-in-law. My father-in-law was not as old as I thought, he was still quite young. I used to massage my father-in-law's leg with olive oil every day, and I used to feel strange. One night I was busy massaging and my eyes started closing due to sleep. Then suddenly my hand touched my father-in-law's special place. I was shocked. Is he so hard even at this age? Well, I shook my mind off this thought and came back and slept in my room, but I was not able to sleep. The whole night I was thinking that if I don't do it with my father-in-law once, it is not possible, but then I decided that I should try it once. What is the harm in it? Who will get to know? That night I was fully prepared. I had worn tight clothes. When everyone slept, I entered my father-in-law's room with oil in my hand, sat in front of him, and when I started massaging his leg, my hand touched my father-in-law's. I was the daughter-in-law of a big house. My parents had passed away in my childhood, and I lived in the house of my distant relative. I was leading the life of an orphan. One day I went to my relative's house. That nobleman asked for my hand in marriage for his son, and got me married to a very decorated girl. I was in this dress and his eyes fell on me. I had become a daughter-in-law. There was peace all around in my life, but suddenly one day my husband died in a big accident, and I became a widow in my youth. My husband had only 2 brothers and now only my younger brother-in-law is left. I wanted to marry him to me because my father-in-law said that he will not let his orphan daughter marry anyone else, he would only let her marry his other son. My mother-in-law was not ready for this marriage, while the brother-in-law and father-in-law wanted it. My mother-in-law felt that the daughter-in-law who likes my father-in-law, those orphan girls have already eaten up their parents and later they also eat up their husbands, that is, their husbands die at their peril. This narrow thinking of my mother-in-law had made my life a strange one after my husband's death, but I had no other place to go except this house, so I kept quiet. There was a quarrel going on in the house about my marriage. One night my father-in-law suddenly fell sick and his health deteriorated a lot, seeing which my brother-in-law immediately took him to the hospital, where the doctor told that he has suffered a stroke and now he is unlikely to recover. My brother-in-law brought father-in-law back home and scolded Amma a lot that this time you are the one who is eating up your husband. My mother-in-law was also probably in a state of shock, so she quietly locked herself in her room and very rarely spoke to anyone, knowing about father-in-law's condition. Seeing this, my brother-in-law told me let's hire a maid who would do father's work. I too agreed to this because the young daughter-in-law could not spend much time in father-in-law's room, so it was better to hire an older servant because now my mother-in-law also remained confined to her room. For some days, arrangement for a servant was made. The servant would come for work every day and spend time in the room only. When my brother-in-law came home, I too would go to my father-in-law in his presence and would look towards father-in-law's room. This was very surprising for me, but I would keep watching everything as a silent spectator, and what could I say when I came back one day? I went to the house of my relatives who had brought me up in my childhood. I got a call from home. It was the voice of the maid on the phone, who was very scared, but she asked me to come home immediately. I reached home quickly and the maid was standing at the door. She told me that I don't want to work here. There is a shadow in this house. Do my accounts and I should leave from here. I got worried after listening to her. I told her to tell me in detail what happened, but she was not ready to tell me anything. Instead, she was leaving her money and leaving. Suddenly my mother-in-law also came there. She took out money and gave it to the maid and she left. I was very surprised to see that she never comes out of her room, but how did she come to the door today? But I quietly went inside the house and prepared food for my father-in-law and prepared a tray to take to his room. My mother-in-law also reached the kitchen. I was still searching for the reason of her coming when I said, "Give me this food. I will take it. I will feed her," without any hesitation. Without saying the second word, she handed over the utensils to them and went into her room herself. Perhaps today was the day to witness one surprising scene after another. After that day she started going to father-in-law's room on her own. I thought that she has also realized the status of her husband, and that is why she is serving him. But now my father-in-law had become weaker than before and his health was deteriorating day by day. One day my brother-in-law told Amma that he wants to get married. I wish that his wife comes and the lack of a good woman in the house is also fulfilled. My mother-in-law did not say anything and agreed to my brother-in-law's marriage, and spent day and night in the preparations of his wedding. In a short time my mother-in-law showed the least interest in my marriage. I, standing behind him with feelings of sympathy in my heart, immediately took the kitchen, and after making tea, started leaving for him. A person in such cold. It was natural to be dressed like that. I took tea and went to the upper portion. He was trying to dry his wet clothes right in front of me. Seeing me coming, he froze for a moment. My steps also faltered, but I moved ahead with full confidence and offered him tea. Seeing the tea in my hand, he said thank you to him. At that time, I was craving for tea very badly. I gave him tea, and came down quickly so that no one could see me. And then after that day, I started thinking a lot about that boy as a husband because he was much better looking and handsome than my late husband. I started making something or the other for him and taking him upstairs. And thus, the doors of strangeness fell between us and indifference started increasing. Here, my mother-in-law had the same attitude of staying locked in the room, while my sister-in-law remained busy in serving her father-in-law. On the other hand, my brother-in-law's style and attitude were also changing. I don't know why he had started being angry with his wife. One night, when I woke up and saw my brother-in-law's friend, when I went to meet him, we both were sitting and talking. Suddenly my sister-in-law came there. Seeing her, both the boy and I got scared. The boy immediately went into his room and stayed there. My sister-in-law expressed her regret and said that she had come to dry her father-in-law's dirty clothes after washing them. But after seeing all this she felt regretful. I went ahead and held my sister-in-law's feet. She did not tell this to anyone. There is no one. My sister-in-law gave me one more chance and she left. After that day, I fell in love, but still did not end my relationship with my brother-in-law's friend. Now it was not in my control. I loved him and wanted to meet him always. In fact, he had promised me that he would marry me and take me away from here. It was just a matter of a few days. But now I was scared of my sister-in-law, and could not believe her in any way. One day my father-in-law was out of town. My sister-in-law called me and said that he was feeling unwell today. I should come and see him. When I went to his room, he was looking really sick, and it seemed that he was not going to survive today. My sister-in-law said that he was calling her so that she could stay with him today. I agreed and left my father-in-law's room and started going towards my mother-in-law's room. But I don't know what thought came to my mind at that time that I turned from there and went to my room and immediately covered myself with a blanket and slept. After some time, I heard the sound of my brother-in-law's footsteps. Surely, he had returned home. I got up. When I peeped in, he was roaming around in the room. Seeing me coming, he asked about his wife. I thought in my heart that this is the chance, the iron is hot and I should strike. I told him that we know what he does all day. My brother-in-law's heart was already filled with suspicion for his wife. My words worked like fuel. He immediately left from there and went towards his father's room, but I don't know why the sky broke when brother-in-law saw that he was lying on the ground and his wife was leaning over his father. I don't know what my brother-in-law understood from this scene, he did not accept it. My words also had an impact, he ran to his wife's room. My brother-in-law started beating his wife. I was standing in a corner and watching the whole scene. On hearing the noise, I also left from there and tried to stop my brother-in-law. He was not going to stop. He did not even look at me and divorced his wife while standing. All this happened so suddenly that no one could understand. But my brother-in-law's wife was still making excuses and looking at me with hopeful eyes. She said that I will tell them to the people that father-in-law was about to die. That is why I sent mother-in-law to call him. But when I did not return, she tried to wake up father-in-law, as a result of which he fell there. But I turned away from this moment and told my brother-in-law that she was involved in this disgusting act for a long time, and I was the one who was silently watching all this. No one believed me when I told the truth. My sister-in-law started looking at me with big eyes. She had already been divorced, but this stain of infamy on her name had been removed when I told the truth. But I did not do so. At the same time, my brother-in-law ran towards me. When I tried to wake up my father, I found out that he was dead. Perhaps my father-in-law had taken the shock of his son's action to his heart. My sister-in-law left the house at that very moment and went away forever. Sajid Sahab got busy with his father-in-law's care. My mother-in-law had already sat in it, but I felt that she was very relaxed. A few days after my mother-in-law's idiot was over, a friend came to meet her. I stood outside my mother-in-law's room from where I could hear the sounds from inside. I slightly pulled the window curtain from where the scene inside was clearly visible. My mother-in-law was talking happily. It did not seem that this woman's husband had died a few months ago. After some time, my mother-in-law got up and went to her cupboard and handed over a bird to her friend. There was a big smile on my mother-in-law's face. The very next moment, the ground slipped from under my feet when my mother-in-law told her friend that she had completed the work and 2 birds were killed with 1 stone. On one hand, by giving this medicine to her husband, she put him on bed and day by day weakened him and finished him off, while on the other hand, she also killed her daughter-in-law. I don't believe my ears. I could not imagine that my mother-in-law could leave by this time. The other woman, who was my mother-in-law's friend, was now asking about me, to which the woman was telling that I would stay in this house because a servant is also needed. At this very moment, I realized my grave mistake. On that day, I had to go to my sister-in-law's house. I should not have allowed this cruelty to happen to me, and should have saved her by telling the truth later. I could not believe my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law could go to such an extent. I had run away from that house with this boy. The boy with whom I had run away did not have any strong place of his own, so he took me to his friends at night and said that we will spend the night there, but I was not feeling well. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the night, and I did not know, and when I woke up in the morning, my bag containing my jewelry was missing and I don't know which thief took it away that night. I woke up the boy with whom I had run away and told him the whole situation. He was also surprised who had taken it away, but one day a thought came to my mind that by giving the bag in my hand, his friends must have come to know that there must be some gold in the bag because girls who run away from home always have all this. I told that boy that all this has been done by your friends. If those jewelry are not found, then it will be difficult. We have less money, we cannot survive. That boy got influenced by my words and started fighting with his friends. The result of this was he told us to leave from there, and both of us left from there and kept wandering in search of a new place. Till evening that boy told me that he had never been to a woman. I am not here anymore, so if you say so, I will take you there. We will have a place to spend a few days. I had realized that I had made a big mistake by running away, but there was no other way left except this, so I agreed immediately, but the next moment, whatever that boy told me, my soul trembled. He said that she is not a good woman. I understood that, but at the moment, I had no other way on the journey of trusting. I had been feeling this from the beginning. Now, I was forced to guess and said, "Whatever happens, take me somewhere to spend the night. I trust you." In this way, we both reached this woman's house. It was a colorful house where filthy women in colorful clothes were roaming around everywhere. But I kept looking at everyone there quietly. That woman gave me a separate room to sleep at night. When she sent the boy inside, I was very worried, and somewhere I also suspected that I was going to be deceived. I still have to stay here, for which I was not ready. I told her. The woman pleaded with her to let me go from here, but she was not ready to agree. 2 days later I was sitting by the window of my room, and watching the scene outside, and cursing my fate and mistakes. A beggar Sahil came to that woman's door. I gave him a chance and told him that if he helps me get out of here, I will give him a huge amount of money. Sahil was used to coming here, and knew everything about this place. So he agreed to my request and helped me jump over the wall of his house the next night, and thus I was able to get out of this dirty place. I had one last gold chain left which I was wearing around my neck. I took it out and handed it over to Sahil and moved on. I had no place left, no education, no money, not even a roof to hide my head. So I got shelter from this Sahil for a few days, and on his advice I started begging, because apart from this I was not going to get any other work. And the world outside was very bad. Sometimes I used to feel from the beginning that all this was the punishment for my crime. This is what I did by lying against my sister-in-law and late father-in-law, but I was still lucky that I got a chance in this world to say something in my truth and to apologize. Viewers, please do tell us by commenting how you all like this story, and to listen to such stories, subscribe to our channel so that you can get the new upcoming video as soon as possible.